Hello, and welcome to this webinar entitled CSSM Certification Pathway to Excellence. My name is Tabitha Kinlaw, and I'm the Senior Manager of Education and Professional Development at CCI, and I will be your facilitator. Before we look closer at CSSM certification, I want to take just a few moments to introduce you to the education team at CCI. First, we have Dawn Whiteside. Dawn is our Director of Education and Professional Development. Of course, you see myself pictured there on the screen below Dawn. Also on our team is Kimberly Jones. Kimberly's our Manager of Education and Professional Development, as well as our LMS Coordinator. And also on our team is Samantha Hendrickson. Samantha is a Professional Development Associate. It's important to review this disclaimer before we look at our objectives. Because CCI is a certification organization, it therefore has a role in developing and administering certification examinations to determine the qualifications of applicants for certification. Therefore, CCI does not require nor endorse any specific study guides, review products, or training courses. So what that means is applicants may prepare for our certification examinations with any educational materials that they choose. The purchase of CCI review materials is not a requirement for testing, nor does the use of any materials imply successful performance on any of the certification exams. However, CCI does offer various study resources for the certification examinations, including an on-demand prep course, practice exams, and a study guide. But no study resources are prerequisites for the certification examinations. So here are our objectives for this webinar. First, we're going to define the value of certification. Next, we'll review the eligibility requirements for CSM certification, as well as examine the components of the exam. We'll then discuss study strategies using recommended test prep materials. We'll explore strategies for answering multiple choice questions and conclude with discussing resources available to prepare for the CSSM exam. So first, the value of certification. Now, there are two resources there on the screen for you that we would highly recommend that you review closely. The first of those is our website and the related CSSM information found on that website. Our website is www.cc-institute.org. On the CSSM page of our website, you will also see where you can download for free the CSSM Candidate Handbook. We encourage you to download this, review it closely, and refer to it often. It will underscore some of the information that we will discuss throughout this webinar, as well as provide you some additional important information that you will find helpful in earning as well as maintaining your CSSM certification. So what is certification? Well, certification is defined by the Accreditation Board of Specialty Nursing Certification, or ABS&C, as the formal recognition of the specialized knowledge, skills, and experience demonstrated by the achievement of standards identified by a nursing specialty to promote optimal health outcomes. The CSSM credential is accredited by ABS&C. And this certification documents the validation of the professional achievement of identified standards of practice by a nurse manager working in a leadership or management role in the perioperative setting. This recognition program acknowledges the professional achievement demonstrated by an individual nurse manager's performance that exceeds that required for competent practice in the perioperative setting. So what are some purposes of certification? Well, first, certification demonstrates a commitment to accountability to the public for safe nursing practice. As such, it also serves to enhance quality patient care. Certification identifies those registered nurses who have demonstrated professional achievement in providing perioperative nursing leadership and management. It also provides employers a means of identifying the professional achievement of an individual practitioner. And last but certainly not least, it provides personal satisfaction for practitioners as well as contributes to a career path for perioperative nurse leaders and/or managers. So, what are the objectives of certification? Well, it recognizes the individual registered nurse functioning in the leadership or management role in surgical services who is proficient in his or her practice. It also serves to strengthen the use of evidence-based theory as we incorporate the nursing care plan into our work, assessing, planning, implementing, and evaluating nursing care. Certification also enhances professional growth, and it does so through continued learning, which results in a greater depth of knowledge as well as expanded skills and practice. So let's look a little closer at the CSSM certification. CSSM certification is voluntary, and it's the only perioperative management credential for perioperative managers, directors, and nurses who may oversee a personnel, a budget, a business unit, or say a service line. It validates achievement of the baccalaureate prepared nurse who demonstrates current proficiency in the perioperative management role. Earning this certification is a mark of distinction, and it recognizes the important role that managers play in the delivery of safe patient care. So, what are the eligibility requirements for CSSM certification? Well, you have those here on the screen, and CSSM is an acronym and it stands for Certified Surgical Services Manager. To earn this credential, applicants must meet all eligibility requirements at the time of application and sit for and pass the CSSM exam. One needs a current unrestricted RN license. The individual does need to hold a bachelor's degree or higher and does need to be currently working full or part-time in a perioperative management role with a minimum of 2 to 4 years of experience. Now, it's important to note that candidates do not necessarily have to have manager in their title. So again, it could be anyone who is overseeing personnel or a budget or a business unit or a service line. In the 2 years preceding one's application, they should complete a minimum of 30 to 50 contact hours or 60 to 100 professional activity points in one or more of the CSSM exam subject areas, which we'll talk about in just a few moments, or complete 6 to 12 hours of academic coursework in one or more of those subject areas. CNOR certification is not a particular requirement of CSSM candidates. Now, information on applications may be verified. For example, if there's a reason to believe that an applicant might not have met eligibility requirements, or say an outside party were to inform CCI that an individual has not met specific requirements, then that application may be flagged for audit. In addition, a minimum percentage of certification applications are randomly selected for audit. The credentialing department begins the audit by contacting the individual in writing to obtain documentation to substantiate the information. And this information may be verified by telephone, email, or letter by the credentialing department. All information gained through the verification procedures will be confidential, except in instances where the law might demand disclosure of facts. Verification may include, but is certainly not limited to, say, an employee verification form that a current manager, supervisor, or maybe a human resource contact might complete. Verification of the applicant's RN license. Verification of professional nursing history through contacting past employers if needed. And the applicant holds responsibility for furnishing any information that might be missing from the application. Should any information on the application be found to be false, then the applicant would be notified and declared ineligible to continue in the certification process. Timely submission of requests for documentation is important because delayed submission of documents and/or submitting incomplete documentation may result in a shortened testing window. And we'll talk about those windows in just a moment. An email will be sent to the applicant detailing the audit results after the documents have been reviewed. And failure to comply with all audit requirements by the 30-day deadline or to successfully pass an audit would terminate one's application. And no refunds of the application fee paid will be provided to applicants that do not successfully pass the audit. Now, here is a visual of the application process. Applicants may apply by creating an account or logging into their existing account. It's important if you already have an account or are not sure and you are unable to get into that account that you not create another account. Simply reach out to our credentialing team at info@cc-institute.org and they will get you into your account right away. The following information is required to complete the application, which takes approximately 15 minutes. So this is going to be items such as your personal contact information, such as your address, home and work phone numbers, and your email. You want to make sure that you're using an email that you plan to use long-term and will allow you to receive timely and important communications from CCI about your credential. Your email will also serve as your login ID. You want to use your legal name as it appears on your original valid government-issued photo ID. You need your RN license information, such as your expiration date, number, states or states licensed to practice in, your perioperative work history, the past 2 to 4 years when you began working in the OR, your current position and practice area. And again, a management role may be overseeing personnel, a budget, or a service line. For example, a team leader, a charge nurse, maybe even an educator. Your employee contact information, as well as your supervisor contact information will need to be provided, and of course, your payment. You will schedule your exam online with our testing partner, which is currently PSI, and it's important to note that you have an application month, and then you have a testing window, which is comprised of the following 3 months. So you submit your application in 1 month, and the following 3 months are your testing window. So for example, if you applied to take the CSSM in January, your testing window would be February, March, and April. There is also a Take 2 option available. And again, we highly encourage you to review the CSSM Candidate Handbook for more detailed information about the application process. Now, let's look at the components of the CSSM exam or the subject areas and domain. How is the exam structured? Having a thorough and sound foundation of the knowledge and skills required for competent perioperative nursing management practice is important. And this knowledge can be obtained through work experiences, independent learning, and formal educational programs. And you see the various subject areas there on the screen, and those are broken out into the domains. You can see the largest percentages are operational management and communication and relationship management. It's important to note there's other categories such as human resource management, financial management, budgets, capital budgets, operational budgets, and then, of course, strategic management is a component as well. This is a great way to kind of organize your study plan for the exam. And each subject area is further broken down into more specific items, what we call task and knowledge statements. Knowledge statements are what the perioperative nurse manager should know, where tasks are what are the skills they should be able to do. Questions within each subject area are written by a panel of experts, and those questions are written and triple checked for accuracy with the most up-to-date references. These references are part of the study resources that we'll discuss a little bit later. CCI routinely conducts job analyses to ensure that the questions on the exam reflect the most current, accurate real-life experiences. And so again, it's great to use the domains as well as the task and knowledge statements to develop a sound study plan. The exam consists of 180 multiple choice questions, and of those, 150 are used to calculate your score. The remaining 30 are pre-test questions, and they do not impact one's score. They're dispersed throughout the exam and cannot be identified by an examinee. The CSSM exam is a time test and does need to be completed in 3 hours and 30 minutes, and the computer used to take the exam will keep the official time. The computerized format does require some basic computer experience. There is an option for a remote secure proctored exam option, but if you elect for this option, then you would have to do a systems check as well as a security screening of the area in which you're taking your exam. An optional pre-exam tutorial will provide instructions on how to take the exam on the computer. It'll also provide examples on selecting answers and marking any questions that you might want to return to and review before finishing the exam. The time allotted for completing this tutorial is separate from the actual exam time of 3 hours and 30 minutes. There is one reported pass-fail decision score. The scores are determined by converting the number of questions answered correctly to a scaled score ranging from 200 to 800. And you need a scaled score of at least 620 to pass. Applicants should answer all questions, as any question not answered might count against the final score. And it's important to note that a scaled score is neither the number of questions you answered correctly nor the percentage of questions you answered correctly. It's transformed from the raw score, which is the number of test questions answered correctly. And this scaled scoring methodology allows for consistent scoring across multiple forms of the exam. So what is the exam? Well, the exam is a validation of knowledge and even skills related to current best practice. So it's a reflection of ideal practice. We're not worried with staffing shortages or unavailable resources. Again, ideal practice based on evidence. What the exam is not, it's not based on individual practice or hospital policy. It doesn't focus on one single surgical specialty or patient population. And when you go to take the exam, you do need to expect heightened security measures, much like the experience at the airport. You're very limited in what you can take into the testing station, so try not to bring a bunch of unnecessary items, and any personal items that you may need to bring in with you will be stored in a fairly small locker, so try not to bring in big items like a large purse. There are going to be various candidates there at that testing center, they're going to be taking a variety of exams or tests. Maybe not the exact same exam that you are. So try not to let that be a distraction. And you can certainly ask for earplugs as well as even scratch paper should you need that from the testing proctors. The fee for the CSSM exam is currently $400. All fees are subject to change without notification, so you always want to check our website for current pricing. And applications cannot be processed without payment. So all fees and outstanding debts to CCI do need to be paid in full, and fees are non-refundable. There is a $40 discount available to those who hold an active CCI credential outside of CSSM, such as CNOR. Also, if an applicant has been the recipient of a DAISY award, there's a $40 discount available there, and that individual would need to provide a copy of their official award letter to receive that discount. But it is important to note that discounts cannot be combined, and only one discount can be utilized per transaction. During the application process, nurses have the option to register for a single exam or to utilize the Take Two program. This would allow an eligible nurse to take the exam twice in a 12-month period if that first attempt is unsuccessful. And for more information, on that program, you can refer to the CSSM handbook as well as the website, again, for more detailed information as well as pricing. CCI does offer volume discounts for health systems who are seeking to certify multiple nurses with CSSM. So you can certainly download the CSSM Take Two facility enrollment form on our website if you are interested in pursuing that. So when you take the exam, it is possible that you can mark items and return to that item later should you need to. There's a review screen option. It's not a variable exam such as with the NCLEX. And again, it's a scaled score and you need 620 out of 800 to pass. And you will know that pass-fail decision prior to leaving the testing center. Now let's look at a few study strategies and recommended test prep materials. We want to make sure that we're efficient in our study. And so here's a couple of things to help you in maybe saving some time. Going back to those subject areas and domains, as well as those task and knowledge statements that we mentioned, we encourage you to do a self-assessment. That way you can build on what you already know rather than starting from the beginning. Those task and knowledge statements, there is a link to those found within that candidate handbook that I mentioned. So you will want to access that and print those out and conduct that self-assessment. Once you have your self-assessment results of your strengths and possible areas of opportunity or where you might want to focus your studies a little bit more, you can also download from our website a free CSSM study plan, which gives you some targeted readings for those various task and knowledge statements. Again, this study plan is not all encompassing, so we do recommend a variety of resources to study for this exam. But use those subject areas and domains to organize your study, maybe starting with those subjects that have the highest percentage of questions, or maybe targeting those areas that might be less familiar to you. The recommended study period to prepare for the CSSM exam is 3 months. Again, reviewing those task and knowledge statements can really help identify your areas of strengths and possible opportunities or even weaknesses. And again, you want to use a variety of preparation aids and also conduct a frequent review, as this has been found to increase comprehension and retention of information. You want to eliminate distractions, turning off text messages, TVs, emails while studying. Breaking up the content and time into bite-sized chunks. Some individuals actually find the Pomodoro technique helpful in organizing their study time. And the exam is not really very much about memorizing facts. It's more about the application of broad concepts. Some individuals find it helpful to practice by taking multiple choice style exams. So speaking of multiple choice questions, it's important for us to understand the test taking process. Now, as I mentioned, the exam is composed of 180 multiple choice questions, and becoming familiar with techniques for responding to multiple choice questions will improve your chances of successful performance on the exam. So let's look at some strategies for answering multiple choice questions. First, we're going to talk about how the multiple choice questions are structured. What are their components? Each question has a stem. That stem is going to provide you all the information you need to answer that question. So try not to add to the stem or wonder what is missing from the stem that you need to know. Everything you need to answer that question is within that stem. Those stems or questions may either be open-ended, much like a fill in the blank, or close-ended, which would end with a question mark. And then you're going to have 4 options or answer choices, A, B, C, and D. One is going to be the best or the correct answer, the key, if you will. And the other 3 are going to be distractors. Now, these distractors, while not correct, are going to still be or seem plausible. So there's always 4 options, and there's only one correct or best answer. Those others are distractors. They're possible, but not correct. There are no true false, multiple choice, or calculations requiring calculator, and no pictures. It is important to pay attention to key words within those questions or in those stems, such as first, best, or most. When we look at common test taking errors, what we see a lot of times is individuals reading into the stem or maybe overthinking the question or maybe even taking too much time per question. It's really good to kind of maybe pace yourself at about a minute per question. Folks that are unsuccessful tend to miss those quantifiers: first, best, most. It's also not advised to change your answers to your multiple questions. A question here or there where you might want to, you think and you have a sound rationale for changing your answer might be okay. But typically, changing your answers to multiple questions on your exam tends to not help folks do any better. You also don't want to expect to see the same questions on the exam that were on practice exams or within prep products. A few other errors are you shouldn't be answering questions necessarily based on your past experience or maybe your facility's present practice, because those may not be always evidence-based or on the latest literature. And there's no tricks to answering these questions, such as always choosing B or looking for the longest or the shortest option. Instead, what you want to do is to analyze the question. What is the question asking? What is it you need to know to answer that question? If you're unfamiliar with the content, what else do you know that could be applied here? Or where could you go to find out more information? And then, of course, eliminate as many distractors as possible. Why are certain options incorrect? So let's look at a few sample questions, if you will. Here's your first one. There are 3 key parts of a blank statement that discuss beliefs, commitment, and community. You have 4 options there: A, B, C, or D. What would your answer be? Well, the correct answer is A, mission. You have your rationale there. When crafting a well-written mission statement, one must consider the needs of the market area and the organization's related expertise, the beliefs of the organization and related actions, and commitment to that mission statement. You see the reference there: Operating Room Leadership and Perioperative Practice Management, the 2nd edition. Let's take a look at another one. Research about management says leadership is about influential social interaction, inspiring or developing others, and this is an open-ended question. You're going to kind of fill in the blank, if you will, complete the sentence with either A, B, C, or D. Do you have your answer? The correct answer here is A, self-management. Decades of management science research have taught us that leadership's not about mastering situations, but rather about emotional intelligence, embracing dimensions such as self-management, influential social interaction, and inspiring and or developing others. And of course, you see the reference noted at the bottom of the screen. Here's another question. The blank developed a framework that defines primary drivers of high-performing systems as quality control, quality improvement, and establishing a culture of high-performance management. Would you select A, B, C, or D? The correct answer here is C. The rationale: the Institute for Healthcare Improvement, or the IHI framework, defines primary drivers of high-performing systems as quality control, quality improvement, and establishing a culture of high-performance management. And this, of course, is from the Team Communication Guideline from AORN. Here's another question. A medication management plan should include aspects of the blank phases of the medication use process. Would you select A, B, C, or D? The correct answer is C. developing a medication management plan that incorporates structures, processes, and professional responsibilities into each of the 5 phases of the medication use process allows for identification of latent and active failures and provides a guideline for performing the steps of the medication use process. You see the reference at the bottom, which is the Guideline for Medication Safety from AORN. And here's another question. Which type of leadership model is best suited to the framework of delegation? A, B, C, or D? Well, if you selected A, you would be correct. Core competencies of a situational leader are the ability to diagnose the performance, competence, and commitment of others, to be flexible, and to be a partner for performance. The reference there is Leading and Managing in Nursing. Now, let's look at Objective 6. What are some resources to help you prepare for the CSSM exam? Again, questions on the exam are based on the current national standards of perioperative nursing practice, professional guidelines, evidence-based practice. So information that is universally accessible. And as we mentioned, no single resource is going to meet all the learning needs. So here are some preparation resources, if you will. Many of the questions are pulled from these very resources. These texts are the primary references, if you will, for the CSSM exam, and you'll see these referred to often in the CSSM study plan that I mentioned. The guidelines for perioperative practice, Berry and Cohn's operating room technique, as well as Alexander's care of the patient in surgery. And then also Pinner's economics and financial management for nurses and nurse leaders. And then last but not least, operating room leadership and management. CCI offers a variety of free study aids. We've mentioned the study plan. Of course, there's some sample CSSM questions. We have certification coaches. And then, of course, our CCI staff is always eager and willing to assist. So definitely reach out with any questions or needs that you might have. Some online resources that you might find helpful include, of course, our website, but AORN, the Joint Commission, the World Health Organization, Mayhouse for malignant hypothermia management, the AHRQ, the Agency for Healthcare Research and Quality, the CDC, or the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And there's a variety of study products that can be purchased. If you are purchasing test prep products, no matter who they're from, you want to make sure that they're citing current resources. So their references do need to be current. We do have some products in our store for purchase, but again, as we mentioned in that disclaimer, none are required to sit for the exam or to pass the exam, nor do they provide an advantage to successfully passing the exam. But if you're interested in some of those products, again, taking note of that disclaimer, we have some exam prep bundles. We have an exam prep book, some online practice exams, and then, of course, an on-demand prep course. If you have any questions, please reach out to our credentialing experts. Again, you can reach them at the numbers shown on the screen, as well as info@cc-institute.org. They are eager and willing to assist. And then, of course, you can also reach out to CCI's education team. We are here to support you, partner with you, and help you achieve your goal of earning CSSM. Thank you for your time and attention. Best of luck on your journey to CSSM.